Okay guys, this is for my newbies because we're using D&D Beyond. You guys have gotten really good. If I say roll me a dex, you know to click where it says dex. If I say roll athletics, you roll athletics. But you're not quite sure what that means, and it's been great as a jumping off point, but it's getting a little bit, yeah, but what does inspiration mean? Whatever. So your character sheet, know it, love it, be it. The core strengths, strength, dex, con, all those things at the top left, those are what we rolled and did the point buys for when we were building the character. There are 6 of them, and it is basically 3 physical, 3 intelligence. Strength, dex, and con is your physical, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma as the brains of the operation, so to speak. Strength is how hard can you throw a tomato. Dex is how many tomatoes can you duck. Constitution is how many of those tomatoes can you catch and eat without getting sick. Intelligence is knowing tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing that you don't put tomatoes in a fruit salad. And charisma is being able to sell somebody a fruit salad with tomato in it. All 3 of those give you modifiers, plus or minus, as you can see on my sheet. And your race and your class also give you advantage on your saving throws, which is just underneath those scores. And those saving throws, as you can see, straight wisdom, I have a +3 modifier, but on a saving throw, that gets doubled. And there's different reasons and different choices that you make that improve your saving throws over your net score. The other thing they do is underneath it, they increase your senses. You have passive perception, passive wisdom, and this is just in general, how observant are you, how knowledgeable are you, etc. To the right of those are the skills, and those are what you click most of the time when we are playing. Like, oh, I want to do this, well then you would click that. And they feed into the dex. But so for example, I said charisma is can you sell somebody a fruit salad with a tomato in it. Well, the skills kind of break that down. Like, how did you sell it? Did you scare the shit out of them and then they just ate the fruit salad even though they knew it was bad? Or did you persuade them and you convinced them that this was the best thing ever to put tomatoes in a fruit salad? That's what the difference between the core values and the skills are. It's just fine-tuning what you've already got. And as a result, you can become even more proficient in those skills, which takes you to the proficiency bonus, which is to the right of the core skills. Elvina is level 5, so she is a +3. And proficiency is just like, you're just, for Elvina, she is better at intimidating than she is persuading. So even though her charisma is a -1, her intimidation is a +2. And we have a rogue in our party, so they have expertise, which is double your proficiency to that particular skill. And then we were a stupid DM, and I gave a rogue buffs, so that's why your sleight of hand and your stealth is insane. Going to the right of your skills and under your proficiency is your initiative. And what initiative is basically your reflexes. So you're in a bar, and the general tension in the room is rising and rising and rising, and a fight breaks out. It's no surprise to anybody that a fight has broken out. You're going to roll initiative to see basically how fast you can get ready to start fighting. Certain things can interfere with that depending on the situation. So if you are planning to sneak up on some baddies and ambush them, you will get what is known as a surprise round, where it doesn't matter what their reflexes were. You knew this was coming, they didn't, so you get to go first. Or the opposite can be true. They were planning an ambush for you, so they knew it was coming, so they get to go first. There's some tweaking that you can do and slider scale kind of deals that you can do with that. But in general, that's what initiative means. It's once you knew shit was getting real, how fast were you able to get ready for it? To the right of initiative is armor class, and that is basically how hard are you to hit, or how hard do they have to hit you for you to really feel it, I guess I should say. And above an armor class is walking speed, and to the right of walking class is an inspiration. Inspiration can come in many different forms, and it is basically, you guys don't have a bard in your party, so the DM is the one giving inspiration out, where it is just a rule of cool kind of reward is how I tend to give it. But you can also do things mechanically that would say you get an extra dice to roll, to hit, to persuade, to whatever roll you're doing. It's just basically an extra d6 that you can roll with your d20 to do whatever it is you're trying to do. To the right of your inspiration is your basic current status of your character. How many hit points do they have? And you can put, if I tap this and I put in a 9 and I say I got 9 damage, it'll do the math for me. And if I get 12 healing points from somebody, it doesn't let you go over your max. It does the math for you. So that's a really cool thing there. Temporary hit points there are certain things that give you like a temporary shield. Like you, in a movie, it would be somebody like picks up a chair and holds a chair, and then the chair gets hit, chair shatters, they can't use the chair anymore. It's the same thing with temporary hit points. You can get temporary hit points when you get hit. They are the first thing that takes the damage, and then once they are gone, they don't come back. Okay? We'll keep there. Beneath your hit points are your defenses and your conditions. Elvina doesn't have any, but you guys, there's tieflings in our party. This is where it will say you're resistant to fire. Conditions, these are all the things that can happen to you during the course of a game or day. And depending on what happens to you and how it happened to you is how long that condition lasts. Exhaustion down below, you have different levels, and this is dependent on time. How long you go without taking a rest increases your levels of exhaustion, and the different levels of exhaustion do different things, give you disadvantage, actively start hurting you, etc. We're going to skip this part down here for a second. We're going to go down to the bottom left. This is the other piece that happened during character build and happens when you're leveling up and you're taking feats or when you get magic items. What kind of armor you're wearing, what kind of weapons you're carrying, what kind of tools you have proficiency in, and what languages do you speak. And all of that is a lot of our character. When you find something and you're investigating something, a lot of times this is where I ask you, do you speak something? Do you know how to use this thing you just found? This is where it can be found, is in the bottom left. Okay. The action block. So you have tabs that are for actions, spells, inventory, features and traits, descriptions, notes, etc. And then under this, you have separate tabs underneath. For actions, you can just see all your actions. You can just see your attacks. You can just see actions that take an action to do, or actions that take a bonus action to do. So when you are just in normal role play, walking about things, you would probably just want it to be under all, so you can see all your options at any given time. When we go into combat or in any kind of encounter that's triggering initiative, you get a more stricter set of actions because it's an action scene in a movie, basically, and you start breaking it down into little 6-second phrases, little rounds. And you make sure everybody has gone, you know what everybody is doing, and then you go to what everybody does in reaction to that first round, etc., etc. To do that, you get 3 things on your turn. You go in order of your initiative, and you can do a action, a bonus action, and movement. From the time you take your turn until it is your turn again, you also get a reaction, which is exactly that. You are reacting to something that has happened outside your turn. And for the tieflings, your big reaction is you can cause hellish rebuke, which is if, when it is not your turn, somebody hurts you, you can hurt them back. You don't have to wait for your turn to do that. Hellish rebuke, because it is a racial trait, you can only do it, I think, once per long rest. Most reactions that you get because of your class or something, it is you have a reaction per turn. So you can, if you have reactions to take, you can take them once per turn. Okay, so they have, if you are in combat and you just want to know how to attack people, you can click the attack tab. But I find it more helpful when I'm a player to look at what actions do I have, what bonus actions do I have, and then decide which order I want to take them. You can, again, it's action, bonus action, and movement. There are certain things where you can take your action to move more. That's a dash. So you can do them in any order. You can do move, bonus action, 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 bonus action, move. Any combination of those 3 that you want to do. You can move, take an action and a bonus action, and then move more if you haven't used up all your movement. It's however you want to slice and dice it on your turn. So those are your actions, those are your bonus actions, those are your reactions. Other is just, I review this once before we're getting into it. It's just like interesting little bonuses. Limited use is just to keep track of things that I'm doing. And then spells. We have a wizard, so this is your list of spells. There is a way to turn it off, so I have it by default it does this. Absorb elements, you can cast absorb elements at 1st or 2nd level, and that's why it appears twice. It is the same spell, it only counts as 1. When you look at this time. If it says 1A, that is an action to cast. If it says 1BA, that's a bonus action to cast. And 1R is, 1R is one reaction. So absorb elements is a reaction that I can take as a druid. If you tap it, it tells you here what it does, etc. During the combat, you don't really need it. The basics of what you need are here. This is the range of where you need to be to hit something. This is hit DC. Oops, keep doing that. The hit slash DC is, let me go up here. So poison spray, if it's got con 14, if it's got like a score like this, that is what the person you are hitting has to roll to beat to not get hit with this. So for poison spray, they have to roll and beat a con save of 14. For Shillelagh, I add a +6 to whatever d20 I'm using to hit them with. And then next to it is the effect, and that tells you what the spell does and what you roll to get to it. You can ticky box as you're going, and as you use up your spell slots. Once your spell slots are used up, you have to have a long rest to get them back. The warlock doesn't, but you do. You're a squishy wizard. If you are looking for under the spells doing this, you can sort here. This is one place I really wish they would let me self-tag. I have a video out on how I color-coded my spell cards that I did. I like to break my spells apart to action, attack, defend, heal, and utility. And I really wish there was a way to tag my spells to do that here, but it's not. Inventory. Inventory is what you are carrying on you. If what you are carrying on you has a ticky box, this is called equipped. And this basically means, are you actively carrying it and is it ready to go? So if you, because you are a kleptomaniac rogue, end up carrying 20 weapons on you, you would either have to very specifically talk to your DM and say, okay, I'm carrying 2 daggers in my boots, 2 daggers on my side, the short swords are across my backs where I can grab them very easily, I've got this on, and tell your DM where your weapons are and explain to the DM how you have managed to equip 20 weapons at once. Or you're going to pick which weapon you are actively carrying and say, these are the weapons that are equipped and these are the weapons that are not. The reason that's important is when you go to take an action. So if I unequip my club, if under my actions, club does not appear because it's not equipped. To equip a weapon or a shield or any of your equipment, to equip it, it takes an action. Most of the time you do this, you say, and it's just assumed, you keep it equipped, meaning every morning you get up, you get dressed, you're putting on your armor, you're putting on your weaponry. And you carry it, obviously not in your hand, but you've got it like on your belt or someplace where you can easily get it and it doesn't take an entire action. If I have you go somewhere, like you go into a bar and the bar is just like fed up with all the bar fights and they tell you that you have to secure your weapons, you have to unequip it, meaning that should a bar fight break out, it's going to take everybody around to equip their weapon. And unless you have a bonus action, you have used up your action on your turn just equipping it. And I think that happened to our rogue on a couple of times where it was like, why am I out of things to do? It is because you have used up your action doing something else. And my apologies, but that is how the flow of action is happening. even though we're taking a long time to describe it, it is actually supposed to be flowing pretty fast, and you're just like focusing in on one person at a time just to make sure from a story standpoint that no one got forgotten. Features and traits. These are things that you get from your class or from your race or from feats that you have taken. Description is your character description that we did during the build. You can edit it as you go and develop your character. Notes are just notes. And extras are extras. Elvina is a druid, so these are things that she knows how to wild shape. And I think that's it. Oh, across the top, long rest and short rest. These are handy dandy buttons that once you have taken a long rest, you can do this and all those things that I was saying that, oh, you have to have a long rest to counteract. It will knock that out, and it will do that for you. Short rest is the same thing. So in a short rest, it is, you're not taking a long rest. You're not going to get the full benefit of a long rest, but you can do things like if you've got some damage and you don't have time or it isn't safe to spend the night somewhere, you can take a short rest up for a couple of hours, bandage yourself up, and you roll your hit die, and this is how many hit die you have, and you can get healing points back. So if I want to roll 3 hit dice, it's going to do that, and there are mechanics to it that if we ever get in that situation, I will walk you through. But that's the difference between a short rest and a long rest. D&D, everybody lives in magical CW land where they have the magic salve, and literally take 2 aspirins and call me in the morning heals everything. As long as you have 1 hit point left, there is nothing a nap won't fix. It's amazing. But that's it. If you have any